today on Mother Mayhem. In the meantime, latch on, hold on, reach out to the people who are already in your life, who have already earned your trust, and who you would genuinely like to spend the holidays with, and who very likely would love to spend the holidays with you. Consider connection at this time. Welcome back to Mother Mayhem, the Narcissistic Abuse Recovery podcast for daughters. Hi, it's Heather. I told you in my last episode that I was taking a break from the heavy-duty trauma recovery episodes that you've become more familiar with from me, and I really meant it. I have a queue of really necessary episodes, for lack of a better word, coming for you in the new year that are going to deserve your attention, and I know they're going to aid in your healing and recovery. But right now, we are in the holiday season, and we're in the thick of it. And you don't need new episodes about trauma dropping in your podcast app, because the holidays have a really uncanny way of reminding you all too well of your trauma. So I thought I would just take a few minutes here, sit with you for a bit, and maybe even keep you company through it. Because while you're doing all the things, you're making all the lists, you're checking them twice, I want you to know that while I don't know you personally, or I don't know your story, I do know you're holding on to something pretty heavy. You're trying to make sense of a world of hurt. Some of you are processing grief of childhood's loss while you watch yourself give your children the holiday experiences and memories that no one gave you. Some of you are struggling with people-pleasing and perfectionistic tendencies, and they're probably in overdrive right now. You're so worried about doing everything for everyone, you haven't stopped to think about yourself for 10 seconds, and you haven't considered how you want this time to be for yourself. And I know some of you, you're sucking it up and you're spending the holidays with your mothers because not seeing your mom either means inviting more drama into your life than you're ready for, or losing out on seeing people that you really miss and care about because of the weird, dicey situation you find yourself in with gatekeeping and your mothers. Some of you I know are probably preparing for time with chosen family because you've already made peace with yourself that the kaleidoscope of your families will be forever different. Some of you are alone, and you are not alone by choice. You've been disinvited. You're receiving the silent treatment. You've been ostracized by your families as everyone chooses to align with your mom. And I know, too, that some of you are alone by choice, because if you have to be lonely, you'd rather be lonely alone. Some of you are in stories and lives that I haven't even thought to include here, but you're in pain, you're searching, and you're yearning. Some of you are on the other side of all of that hard, and you're in your life and you're happy. Wherever you find yourselves, I want you to remember that you belong here. I thought I would take a few quick minutes here to just offer you some tips on getting through this time. And again, we're not going down analysis paralysis here. I'm not offering you one of my traditional deep dives. Just some things to think about or consider as you go through your days. Here's what you can do. You could take what you like and you can leave the rest. Now, if you've already developed tools in your toolkit that are reliable and they work for you, please keep using them. Don't stop journaling, meditating, going to yoga, or anything like that during this time. So many of you make room for the extras during this time by giving up the things that help you be you and take care of you through this time. So keep those things on your schedule. Because here's the thing, some of you are working, right? Some of you have jobs. Your job schedules aren't changing. Your job descriptions aren't changing just because it's the holiday season. And anything that's part of your normal job description is still your responsibility. I would argue for you that anything in your self-care toolkit, your journaling, your meditating, your deep breathing, your going to gym classes, the time with your girlfriends, taking time for the things you enjoy, getting out in nature, grounding, those, my friends, are also your responsibility right now. They are not luxuries. They are not things you make time for. They are the things that you have come to learn on while you are coping. So get them on your schedule and keep them on your schedule. Please and thank you. Notice what else you might need. Do you need more sleep? Do you need to say no to something you might have already said yes to? Perhaps you need to set boundaries around your time, making sure that you're not over peopling, as they say, that and you're not overcommitting yourself. Maybe when you think of your favorite holiday things, have they been added to the family calendar? I say this because I know I'm making my husband drive me around to look at Christmas lights, and he's not getting away with just doing it for one night. I have him on tap to drive me around for a couple of times. And I also know that I have a movie date with just me, myself, and I. I'm not going to subject him to it, but I want to see The Holiday. I haven't seen that one in a while, so I am adding that to my list. What are your creature comforts? The season brings up so many hurts, and the hurts you all are carrying, they come in so many different shapes and sizes. Are the things that bring you comfort readily available and accessible to you? Can you get to them easily? Are they there for you? I also want you to take a second here and to consider something. It feels a little controversial for me to even say this, but I want you to remember that you don't have to let the holidays take up as much brain space as they're probably taking up for you. Christmas takes up 2 days, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Hanukkah takes up 8 days. Kwanzaa, you're in it for 7. When we think about the way we let all of these days and all of the anticipation in this period of time take up so much space. For most of you in the listening audience, we're talking about 2 days or we're talking about a week. You can do anything for 2 days. You can do anything for a week. That doesn't mean you should have to, of course. It doesn't mean that it shouldn't hurt you or cause you to feel loss or grief during this time. But I do want to encourage you to maybe stop and think for a second about how much you're watering this particular bush. How much energy are you giving to the pain of the holiday season? How much attention is this getting from you? And is there any way you might be able to dial it back and look at other bushes that maybe you should be watering instead? Do you perhaps have something on the calendar that you're looking forward to? Something that isn't associated with the pain of this time, or its disappointment, its grief, or trauma recovery? What can you put on your calendar to look forward to? I want you to think about the question that I offered you in the first holiday episode I did. It was episode 23. How do you want your holidays to go? How do you want to move through them? And I encourage you to make decisions from that place. And as much as possible, please, pretty please, avoid going down the rabbit holes and hole off on analysis paralysis. I'm not saying that your story doesn't matter. Of course, of course, of course, your story matters. This is Mother Mayhem, the Narcissistic Abuse Recovery podcast. Your story matters. Your truth matters. Your trauma is important. Your memories are important. Your feelings are important. And as they come up for you, it is really important that you notice them, that you name them, and that you acknowledge them. However, it's also okay for you to then release them, my friends. I think I've mentioned this phrase before on the show. I call it catch and release. Catch the thought, catch the feeling, the memory, or the wish, and then release it. without the blaming or the shaming. Don't judge it. Don't should on it. Just see it, name it, release it. Don't be afraid to ask for help, to literally ask for a seat at the table, or to let people know in your life that you need companionship. I am not, by the way, encouraging you to go to the empty well of your family on this, but there are likely people who love you and who care about you and who sincerely have your back. Now, these people may be so wrapped up in their own stuff right now that they don't think to invite you over, but that doesn't mean that they don't love you or they wouldn't love to have you join them for their family celebrations, but they just might not know that you find yourself without any plans. So don't seek the time or attention of anyone who's been cruel or dismissive of you, but it is okay to ask people who love you to host you. Most people would love to. It's vulnerable, and I know that because it highlights your sadness and your loneliness, but that part is only for a second because then you get to spend the holiday in a better way than you might have otherwise. I know, my friends, it is so hard to take up space. It's hard to consider showing up for yourself, to ask for what you want. But it's so important that you take a moment to consider that by showing up in a relationship, you are allowing others to do the same for you. Your trauma brain may tell you not to. Your attachment struggles may make you more hesitant to become more intimate with people. But I have to tell you, we can't heal in the absence of others. We need others. You need others. Trauma happens when pain doesn't have a witness. Being willing to be a witness, being willing to be witnessed builds relationships. And I promise you, your relationships have hurt you in the past. I know this. Your mom has hurt you. Your dad likely hurt you. Your family may have hurt you. But relationships also have tremendous power to heal and to aid in your recovery. Relationships have the power to also save you. And we want to start building and strengthening your toolkit around that. Now, I'm going to be spending time in 2024 talking to you about the role of attachment and trauma and how it plays in relationships with your friends, your partners, your siblings, your kids. But we're not there yet. So, in the meantime, latch on, hold on, reach out to the people who are already in your life, who have already earned your trust, and who you would genuinely like to spend the holidays with, and who very likely would love to spend the holidays with you. Consider connection at this time. Don't forget either, because this is my favorite thing, and I talked to you about this last time too. Don't forget to catch and hold on to glimmers. Now, this was my first Thanksgiving doing the show. You all heard me record the night before Thanksgiving in the last episode. But some of y'all sent me some Thanksgiving notes thanking me for the show. Clark can tell you I bawled like a baby. I kept all of them. I took screenshots of all of them. They all moved to my glimmers folder. I shared them with a few people in my circle. I even showed a few to my dad, which he doesn't get any of this. And so that was a big deal for me to do. But I'm really proud of what we're doing together. And I wanted to share that. If you get the perfect gift, if you make the perfect memory, if you laugh out loud at a cookie debacle, I might have taken out a pan of melted butter out of my oven instead of shortbread cookies. If you're watching White Christmas or Christmas Story for the umpteenth time, but it's still bringing you joy, make note of it. Make note of the glimmer. Be present for it. Stamp it in your memory. We know the hurts of this season can feel so heavy. we know that those things can take up so much more space and that they can get your attention. So don't forget to give attention to the glimmers. It feels like I should also say, hi, my name is Heather, and I might have a fairy light problem. Seriously, there are so many fairy lights in this house. They make me so happy. I don't even care. Make note of the joy and where you find it, and make sure you hold on to it. This is a hard time, and you might be challenged, but it doesn't have to all suck, so long as you're also willing to find the joy where you can. I know the scales might not always even out. I know the hurt may weigh more than the light, and I understand that. I honor it and I respect it. Seeing the light and owning any glimmers or looking at anything like that, it doesn't mean you're dishonoring your pain, and it doesn't imply that you're supposed to just throw it under a rug. I don't want you doing that, but I do want to encourage you to hold both. Hold the dark with the light, the beauty with the hard. And now, here's something else you can hold on to. I heard your feedback from the last episode. I really heard it, and I really listened. So many of you want a workshop. So here goes. I'm going to offer you a workshop. Very few things drive me up a wall faster than the bullshit messaging all of you are about to get as the new year approaches. New year, new you, fuck that. That is what I say all the time. New year, new you, fuck you. More like new year, same trauma, so what the fuck do I do about it? What all of you are living with and dealing with and healing from, we can't wrap that all up in a pithy cliche. And all of that nonsense, all of that noise, all it does is make you feel weak and ineffective when you're trying to take action on these new goals, but fail because the weight wearing down your heart is entirely too heavy. But at the same time, I know that the new year does offer new opportunities for some hope, for some healing, for some fresh starts, and for some clean slates. And I really do think we can honor your trauma, meet you where you're at, and still help you set a course for more healing in the new year. And I think we can do that together. This is what I'm thinking. I'm going to call this workshop No Nonsense New Year Healing Strategy Workshop for Daughters of Narcissistic Mothers. I totally wanted to call it the No Bullshit New Year, but I thought I'd start out gently. For this first workshop, it's right out of the gate. I'm going to invite 100 people, the first 100 people who say yes and want to join me for a group workshop/coaching call. I'm going to start the call with some concrete, no nonsense, non bullshit ways of approaching the new year, and I'm going to offer you some teaching and perspective for how I think about it. Then I really want to open most of the floor and most of that time to any questions or coaching opportunities all of you are looking for. It can be about the new year, or it can just be about narcissistic abuse recovery in general. We're going to meet for 2 hours over on Zoom, January 3rd, 10:30 in the morning to 12:30 Pacific Standard Time. The price for this is going to be the same as what hopefully, I know a lot of you have deductibles, but basically the idea of a U.S. therapy session copay. So in the United States, a lot of my clients, if they aren't on these deductible plans, they're paying $25 for a copay per session. So I'm going to charge $25 for the group workshop here. I can only do 100 of you the first time at bat because I have to get my sea legs with this. And 100 already seems like a lot to me. I'm going to record the session. So if you can't make it live, but you want access to the workshop, I'm going to get you a link to a private YouTube video after the call. So I'm going to record the call, and anyone who wants access to it can also purchase the link for that. If we do get as many as 100 live signups and more people want to join, you too will have that option to join that recorded call instead. I'm going to include the links for the live call or the recording of the call in the show notes. And I'm going to recap everything I just shared also in the show notes. What's most important is if you think you just want to do the recorded call, please do just click on that link for the link to the recorded call, because I really am going to do a hard stop at 100 people signing up for the live call. So if you know you're not going to sign up for the live call, don't take that spot and take it away from someone else if you in any way can help yourselves from doing that. If this whole thing is not your thing or you can't make it, that is totally okay. This show is still coming back to you in January with full episodes designed to help you with your narcissistic abuse recovery journey. I'm not going anywhere. Nothing is changing. This is just a little bit extra support if you find yourself you need it and you want to kick things off in the new year. After all, this is what I heard in the feedback when I asked you guys what you were looking for in 2024. And I wanted to offer you that opportunity to say, this is what I need, and then to get the need met as soon as possible. I think that alone is a healing intervention when you look at it that way. And I want to increase your comfort level with asking for what you want. And I think a good way of doing that is by also then, in response, giving it to you. But I am still in it with you, my friends, as your podcast host. I don't want you to think that I'm going off on some half-cocked trail in some never land. I am in it with you. I am leading this community with you. This continues to be the greatest privilege, and I am so incredibly grateful for it. I hope this little quick touchstone episode kept you company for a little bit. I'm going to offer another one probably before the end of the year, because you are in a community of women around the world who are in this together during this crazy time of year. I am most definitely in it with you too. Bye for now. I'm so grateful that you're here. You're right where you're supposed to be. At its heart, I'm hoping to use this show to build a community of women working together to heal from childhoods marked by maternal narcissism and emotional neglect. My goal for Mother Mayhem is that this show becomes an advice and mentoring-driven show where you share your questions, struggles, and stories, and I offer you direction for healing and recovery. That can't happen without your contributions. I invite you to send a recorded voice memo or write in an email with your questions and things you're struggling with. You can always find me over at heather@daughtersnpd.com. To connect further, I invite you to find me over at Instagram and occasionally on TikTok at DaughtersNPD. If you know another woman who needs this conversation in her life, I'm going to ask that you share the show with her. You can help me get the word out with your reviews and social shares of the show, and I hope you'll consider doing so. Special thanks to Heather Clark for editing this show. She's in my head and knows what I meant to say when the words come out backwards. Thanks for your time today. I'm always in it with you. Bye for now.